It used to be that if you bought something, you'd be able to get it fixed when you needed to. And over time, we've lost that ability, whether it's a vacuum or a television or a laptop. It's increasingly more challenging to get access to the information that you need, or for local shops to get the parts.
The right to repair! The right to repair movement. While it's not the most pressing issue in the world right now, it still pops its head up every now and then.
Meanwhile, we're awaiting a decision to see whether Apple will face a class action lawsuit.
After it admitted to slowing down older iPhones.
The tech giant says it's done to save battery life.
The movement is a direct response to shady business practices like this one. Companies like Apple have designed products that essentially lock the users out. May it be a faulty battery, a brand-specific charger and headphone jack.
The new MacBook charger does the exact same thing as the old charger. The only difference is now, you can't borrow a friend's when you forget yours.
Or even something as small as trying to replace a screw on your laptop.
So this is the pentalobe screw. It's on the bottom of the MacBook Pro. And it's these little 5 points you can see. It's not like any screw that you've seen before. And it turns out that Apple invented their own screw. It's purely, they want to make the devices harder for normal people to open with the tools that they already have laying around.
With designs like these, Apple takes in millions of dollars every year. They ensure that a user has to rely on their services instead of exploring a third-party option or doing anything by themselves. To many, this is seen as a violation of their consumer rights. As a response to the backlash over such contrived designs, Apple's basically been blowing smoke in the face of the users. They act like they don't know what they're talking about and that they always have the user's interest at heart.
We always focus on the user experience. So at the heart of any decision that we make is the user.
Though the designs clearly argue the opposite, Apple can maintain this arrogant stance simply because they can. They're the ones that actually get the circuit boards and the ones and zeros that go into designing the technology that we all use and love so much. Like a jeweler or a construction worker, they specialize in building the things that the people want and need, but don't know how to do, or even care to learn. They got other things to worry about, and instead would rather just use the technology to pursue their goals and interests. According to scholars on design such as Langdon Winter, this then sets the world up into two different types of people, the makers and the users. While it might be a pretty simplistic way to look at the world, one that Winter even critiques himself for not going far enough to explain the relationships that users have with technology,
Right.
It highlights the fact that the makers have the leverage over the users when it comes to the design of the product. The kinds of technology that companies like Apple provide are essential to people's daily lives. Without them, people wouldn't be able to enjoy the quality of life that they currently live. Therefore, such designs, which are meant to force the user to keep handing their money over despite feeling taken advantage of, are inherently political in their nature as they dictate the terms of use to the user. This one-sided relationship is echoed every time someone mentions the phrase Silicon Valley.
It's a land of tech and wine, a land of former nerds and current millionaires, a land where startups are king until they're bought out by one of those many billion-dollar companies also in the area. That's right, I'm talking about Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley is home to the most expensive city in America and some of the most expensive homes in the world.
This perception has begun to take a turn against the makers and created a schism between them and the users who feel as if they've just been getting ripped off as everyone in Silicon Valley just gets richer.
This stems from a mentality that they're the center of the universe and nobody else is doing anything with their products.
To combat this mentality, the Right to Repair movement is attempting to build a bridge between two groups and open up the playing field.
So Right to Repair is a movement and a set of legislation that would restore that ability to fix your own stuff.
How does Apple fit into that question?
Apple's perspective is that they want complete control over the device from the moment that you buy it all the way through the end of life. And Right to Repair takes some of that control away from them and puts it in the hands of the owner. And that's where, for a manufacturer to say, we're making a product and we're putting it out in the world and we're going to control every aspect of what happens after the fact is complete lunacy.
Apple and other companies like it have clearly indicated where they stand on the issue and are not letting up in the fight whatsoever. That being said, the movement is beginning to gain traction globally and even amongst legislators. Watch as this Canadian MP questions an Apple executive over the slowed iPhone battery performance.
Now, you've strangely today said Apple did nothing wrong, but the issue is disclosure, and Apple apologized for non-disclosure in relation to the slowed performance. So, was the non-disclosure intentional or inadvertent?
We did not disclose anything. We didn't have anything to not disclose.
About the slowed performance of the phone, the very reason you're attending today, that you did not disclose to consumers. Was that non-disclosure intentional or inadvertent?
It was not intentional.
This lawsuit was seen as a major stepping stone for the right to repair movement and helped put it on a global stage. But unfortunately, it's still not enough. Out of this $500 million settlement, users could only get up to $25 back. Doesn't really seem like a fair compromise, if you ask me, for a faulty product that they spent nearly $1,000 on. It also doesn't guarantee that Apple or any other company like it wouldn't just go ahead and do the same thing again in the future when designing a new product. That being said, I still think it's a great starting point for the movement and for consumer rights overall. I just hope that in the wake of everything else going on in the world right now, it isn't lost and forgotten about. And I could be completely wrong here, but I have a feeling that once we really enter into the fourth industrial revolution, that's when we'll really be feeling the negative effects of the great divide between the makers and the users. So I just hope we can figure something out before Senor Elon Musk has colonized Mars and it's game over.